have a new weapon, and he's coming for you.
Whoa! You're not coming in. You're not on the list. I am now.
So we've snuck into Capcom's booth here at E3, and even though we're inside this sort of closed-in space, we can still hear the show floor booming out there. And we caught up with Alex here. Can you just tell us what's been shown here of DMC at the show?
So we've got two things. One is more of a freeform combat area, street section. We're calling it Underwatch. And then we also have a boss battle, Poison, where you can see classic large-scale DMC bosses in action.
So what is it about DMC bosses that you feel is sort of quintessentially DMC, and what makes it a proper Dante boss fight?
Well, one of the things is like more depth, that sort of that it's apparent on the surface, so there's more there than it meets the eye initially, so really skilled players can find ways of shortcutting or golden pathing it in ways that aren't obvious, and incentivizes casual users sort of do the same.
So can you talk us through the boss battle that we're seeing here?
What you have is a boss called Poison. She's one of the earlier bosses in the game, and Dante's there to, the idea is the demons run things sort of behind the scenes, and she is one of the sub-bosses, if you will. But it's a very standard, classic DMC boss, huge in scale, multiple stage, and as I said before, layers of hidden depth.
I guess you got sort of a unique perspective as the U.S. producer on a game that's been made in Europe, but with Japanese origins. So how would you sort of, because I guess you're a little bit from the outside, then you can say sort of what's the European influence on such a Japanese franchise?
Well, the good thing is Ninja Theory, the developer, has a deep reverence for Devil May Cry, which obviously one of the reasons we decided to go with them. So they understand the series sort of more or less way more than I did when I first came on the project. In fact, I had a lot of catching up to do. Those guys are huge DMC buffs, and a lot of the designers in particular are. So it's been interesting, and there's also been a massive collaboration from Capcom Japan. Like in a lot of ways, particularly in combat, it's almost been co-design with Itsuno-san, who is a key creative, lead creative in fact, on 2, 3, and 4, to come in and sort of provide the wisdom of how to make incredibly responsive, fluid, controlling games. So it's been interesting to watch the wisdom get transferred from Capcom Japan, who's been making high-end, deep fighting games for a really long time, and then a really talented studio like Ninja Theory, who does have the capacity to make great games, but also has really good narrative and storytelling chops as well. So it was great to bring those two great tastes together.
And perhaps you touched on where it will be a little bit different, the storytelling. Could you tell us a little bit what DMC has in terms of narrative?
Well, it's at its sort of basic top line, it's a rebirth, a reimagining of Dante's origin story. So we want to go back to square one, sort of tell the story of how Dante becomes Dante in the world that we've created. And it's got a more standard Western narrative sensibility to it this time. So it's a little more straightforward. But as I said, the narrative is great, and then Ninja Theory's ability through cutscenes to tell story. You'll see some amazing cutscenes in the game, like some of the highest quality stuff you'll see in interactive media.
I think when the game was first announced, there was a bit of a shock at how Dante was and how he looked, and sort of now it's settled down a little bit. But could you just sort of like what did that sort of, because it must have been a shock, something. Maybe you were expecting it, but
well, yeah, so we were totally expecting some degree of it, and I think it's fair to say we probably weren't expecting as big and as sustained a reaction as we got. That's probably very fair. But it's understandable. In a lot of ways, we have a very passionate fan base, and that's a totally good thing. You want people to be engaged in your product and to care about it. And in other ways, we were asking fans of the series to absorb a lot of change, not being done in Japan, being done by a Western developer. That brings in a lot of worry because obviously no one really makes awesome fighting games like Capcom Japan. And so I think a lot of things like the character redesign became a repository for fears of just bigger changes that had to do with the game becoming less fun. And what I can tell everyone is that at the controller level, this game plays and feels like a DMC game.
I think that's a normal thing. I think people ask for change, but when they're actually faced with change, they want the same thing that they're used to.
Yeah, I think there is something there, and I think sort of struck a very good balance between changing things and then continuity. So mechanics, the foundations of combat, you're going to see things that long-standing fans of DMC recognize. You'll have the Rebellion, you'll have the Ebony and Ivory. They'll play a similar role that they had in previous ones. But the idea of having an angel and a demon aspect to Dante this time gives us a more varied set of mechanics, like the lift and pull, which you can use in combat or environmental traversal, and it adds a layer of depth that previous DMCs didn't have. We're also doing seamless changing between weapons, which allows you to extend combo chains and make your own custom ones as you go on the fly. So there's a lot there, and I think it's a lot that people who are fans of the series previously are going to be really pleased with.
And you've given us a date to aim for. I think it's going to be the first big game to come out next year.
January 15th, PS3 and Xbox 360.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Just like your father. Too big for your fucking boots. Me, a god. Versus you, a piece of shit.
You're looking for a fight? Here I am.